So we're going to do a rock, paper, scissors game. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the game against the computer. So basically the user is going to pick either rock, paper, or scissors. The computer is going to pick a rock, paper, scissors, and then you're going to compare and see who won. So it's a pretty, I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward algorithm. It's just going to be a series of if and else if statements. But what we want to do is we want to use reference variables to get the computer's choice and the user's choice. And so what we're going to do is and there might be there's a few different ways we could do this, but basically what the algorithm we want to use is in our main function, we want to, well, let's not even start with the main function yet. Let's just say, so first of all, the program is going to generate a random number between 1 and 3. So for the rock, paper, or scissors, so the computer is going to generate a random number. So that's going to be the computer's pick. And then the program, let's see. Okay, and then we're going to get the user's choice. And we're going to use reference variables for both of these. And then we want to display, the user will display what the picks were and display who the winner is or if there's no winner. And so we're going to user's choice, so display choices and winner or no winner. And then just to look at so as far as selecting the winner, so we can have a few different scenarios. We can have the rock versus scissors. So who wins for this one?
Rock.
Yeah, the rock. We could have scissors versus paper. And who wins for this one? Yeah. And then paper versus rock. And who wins for this one? Yeah, paper. And then if they're the same choice, there's no winner. So this is the code we're going to work on. And there's a few different ways we can do this. So we'll just start working on it, kind of how we did the craps game, and piece it together. All right, so I'm just going to start out with our program framework, and then we can come up with, we can put in some comments saying what we want to do together. But as far as this game, this is just going to simulate playing rock, paper, scissors with the computer. And then we have pound include IOStream using namespace standard, and then return 0. All right, so we know that we want some functions, so I'm just going to put a comment here for our function prototypes, and then we're going to have our function definitions down here. And let's do this. This is our main function. So before I really start typing actual code, I like to just kind of piece together my skeleton of what I'm planning on doing. I feel like it makes it easier to write code. So what do we, so we know that we need some variables. I'm just going to say get, well, Actually, we want to simulate the computer choice first, but we want to do that from a function as well. So simulate computer choice, get user choice, and these are both going to be, we're going to get both of these from functions that have reference variables. Get user choice, be from a function as well. And then, let's see, determine, well, then we want to display the choices. Determine the winner. We want to do that from a function, but this one isn't going to use a reference variable. Okay. So what should we call these functions? So we want a function that gets the computer choice. Since this is going to use a reference variable, it's not actually going to return anything. So we're going to have a void function. And then what should we call this? This function is going to simulate the computer's choice.
Com choice, COM choice.
So com choice, and then this is going to be a reference variable. It's going to be 1, 2, or 3, so it's going to be an integer. So we're going to specify that this is a reference variable with the ampersand. And I'm going to copy and paste this down to here for when we write our function definition. And then we need the name of this variable here. I'm just going to call this C choice.
So does the ampersand have to be right next to the...
No, there can be a space.
Okay.
You'll
It'll also be right after int.
Yeah. So you'll see this written different ways, but yeah, they all work. That's mainly just personal preference. So the computer choice is going to simulate a random number. So why don't we just work on this function? And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to the craps code. I take code from code that I already wrote a lot. So we already know that we simulated a dice roll and a random number in the craps code, so we can just copy and paste some of this into here. Only now this isn't going to be dice 1, this is going to be the computer choice, and we also need to
Set the max value and value.
yeah, so int, this is constant, so constant int max value is 3, constant int min value is 1. So this should, like, since this is a reference variable, when we call this function in the main function, whatever variable we send it will be changed in the main function. Yeah. It'll be changed in, so whatever variable we send into this function is going to change that variable in the main function. So we can have a variable in the main function called just computer choice again. And then what we can do is just call this function. So it's just com choice. And then C choice. And that should change that variable. So let's just verify that by printing things out. So C out before, and then just do C choice. And then copy and paste this after. So this is bigger. All right. Well, I guess it initialized it to Z4. It's 0 after it's 3, so it's got 3 from that as a random value, and hopefully it doesn't. Oh, and what are we missing with our random number? So we're calling rand here, but what are we missing? It's going to give us the same thing every time right now.
You need to seed it.
Yeah. So we need.
That's right.
So you need C time from there.
Yeah. I'm going to go up here and just copy this over. And then we need these. All right, let's see if this is giving a different number each time now. Yeah, so now it's giving a different random number. Giving a lot of 1s and 3s, but anyway, so do you see how this is, since we're using a reference variable here, this function isn't returning anything, but it's directly changing the variable in the calling function, which is the main function. What we were doing before was returning a value from the function, so we would have said something like C choice is equal to this. But since we're using a reference variable, the function isn't returning anything. So we don't need to do that because the variable is just going to be changed automatically from the function. I can delete these. Let's continue working on this. So we've generated the computer's choice, and can actually move this comment up here. Now what we want to do is get the user choice, and we want to also do this with the reference variable. So I'm going to use the same naming convention that we used with this com choice, and I'm just going to say user choice just to be consistent. And then also, just to be consistent, call this u choice for user choice. And then we're going to need a variable for the user choice. So I'm just going to do int u choice, and I'm just going to set that to 0 initially as well. So what we want to do now is write a function for the user choice. So let's go up here. I'm going to write the function prototype and then the functions. This is the user choice. We want to use a reference variable for this again. And we don't need to use reference variables for these. In fact, it would probably be better not to. We're just using them to demonstrate how they work. So just to say, you could do this with or without reference variables. So now let's go down and work on the function for the user choice. All right, so what do we want to do here? We want to get the user's choice. So what?
Type in rock, paper, scissors, or pick one, like one is rock, two is paper.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot easier just to use numbers.
Yeah, so you're just gonna ask for
Yeah.
see out statement.
Pretty much just blank a selection menu.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so do a menu, and so like C out, and then yeah, enter your choice, and then we should tell them what their options are. It might be better just to say, I'm gonna be really creative and just call this menu, and then I'll put the choices under it and then ask them to enter their selection. All right, so C out, and then let's just specify that one is rock, two is paper, And 3 is scissors. And then let's ask them to enter their selection. So I want to do actually let's not do a new line there. All right, so they have their menu. What do we need to do now? Yeah, so we need a... And we need something... So I just copied the function prototype. We actually need to put our variable name here. And just to be consistent, let's just call this uChoice. Because on this other one, I called this cChoice. So just to be consistent. All right, C and choice. And then we probably want to validate and make sure that they picked a good choice. We want to make sure they picked something between 1 and 3. So how would we do that? Yeah, so while, and then so then this is going to be, so while choice is less than 1. So if, yeah, so invalid choice, and then I'm just gonna, yeah, just display the menu again and get a choice again. All right, so then after we get a valid choice, so we're not returning anything from this function, but we need to indicate that, like, so since we're using a reference variable, we need to say that uChoice is equal to choice. Does that make sense? So this is just u. And we could have just used uChoice in this instead of choice, but in this case, I actually think it's better to use a I think it's better for the function to have its own variable here, and then just set uChoice equal to choice at the end. Either way is probably fine, but the reason why I'm kind of liking this way better is because if the user enters a bunch of wrong stuff, as we're getting the correct choice from them, it's not going to be changing that uChoice variable in the main function. So if the user enters wrong information a bunch of times, if we have uChoice here, it's going to be changing the uChoice in the main function every time they enter something. And that might not matter. It just, anytime I'm changing something in a different function from a function, that just makes me nervous. So, okay, so now we have our user choice. So let's go up here and we already have the function call. So let's run this and see if everything's working. I'm just gonna print out these 2 variables just so we can see what they are. And then we'll finish the code. So this is C choice. I'm going to do an end line. And then this one is U choice. So let's see if this works. All right, so it looks like our menu's working. So rock, paper, scissors, let's just pick one. And it looks like the computer picked 2, we picked 1, so it got our choice correctly. Let's just try this again. So that one looks good. The computer, hopefully the computer's not, I thought we verified that that worked before, but it looks like it's picking the same thing every time.
Nope.
No, it changed. Okay, good. So it looks like that's working. Now the next thing we want to do is I want to create a function that just displays what the choices were. So basically I want to take this that we just wrote here, where we're displaying the computer choice and the user choice, and put those into a function. So then we can just call the function and we can display what was picked.
Display choices.
Yeah, that sounds like a good name. So display, whoops.
I love this programming because the function names are so straightforward.
I know. This definitely makes things a lot, like, cause yeah, it's a lot easier to just look through this and look at the function names to see what's going on than to try and follow like, yeah, yeah. This is a pretty nice way to program. So basically, for the display choice, we need to send the computer choice and the user choice to this function, and then it's just going to display them.
Since it's not being changed in there, I think it'd be fine to use a reference variable.
All right. So we're not going to have, well, let's just send it. So the first one is going to be the computer choice. The second one is going to be the user choice. So now let's copy and paste this, make another prototype. So it's just void. And then for reference variables, this is going to be int and again. And then int and. Oh, and we don't, well, I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to copy this and then delete these names. And you can have the names in your prototypes, it's okay. I like it. I like doing it without them because I think it's easier to read. But then let's go down here and type our function.
I noticed that if you have the names in there, it just makes it gray like a comment. It's like, by the way, this doesn't matter. It's okay if you-
Yeah. Okay, and then we can copy and paste this into there. Oops. Oh, I'm gonna just, we have to retype that.
You use Control
Okay.
Z to get it back.
Well, I'll just retype it. So C out. So we want to display the computer picked.
We would kind of change that anyway, so.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what I did was I did the Control C, and then I got down to the function and I accidentally hit Control C again.
So it stored it, and then it was gone.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's see. So this is going to be the C choice, and then the user picked. Actually, I'm going to say you picked.
Make it more personal.
Yeah. And then this is you choice and end line. All right, let's go back up here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this comment up here so it's in the right place. And then let's see if this is still working. So 1. Yeah, looks right.
Computer really likes to.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely doing a random number, but it's definitely picking the same number a lot of the time. Because I thought we had verified it picked something different once.
There was something different once. There we go.
Yeah. So now what we want to do is determine the winner. And we want to do this from a function, so what should we call this?
Display winner, maybe? I don't know. Or just winner?
Yeah, I think winner sounds good. And then it needs the C choice and U choice, right? So winner, int, and then let's, so that's our function prototype. Let's do the definition now. And I'm gonna put the names on here. So this is C choice and U choice. And then, so what do we need to do in here?
You do like an if statement.
Yeah.
If you choice.
Now that I'm thinking of this, it actually doesn't, like with the display choice and this winner, since we're not changing the variables,
You don't need it.
yeah, it almost doesn't make sense to use the reference variables. So let's take those off.
On the display choice.
Say that again.
Is that on the display choice?
Yeah, I just think that,
Since you're not doing anything with it, you're just
yeah,
the value doesn't change.
yeah, I'm almost thinking that just makes it, it's kind of confusing. So I'm gonna take these off. So basically we're just sending it the variable and it's just displaying them. So it's not changing the value at all. And same thing with the winner. It's just going to be, like we're sending it the variables. We're gonna determine who won and then display the winner. So yeah, I mean, it still worked with the reference variables. It just looked kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we want to do some if and else if
We're gonna
statements.
do like if, we're gonna have to do like all the possibilities, like if C choice equals 1 and U choice equals 3, then we're gonna have to do all of that.
Yeah. So the way I did it was I picked the user, like I started with the user choice. So I said if the user choice is equal to rock, and then I compared that to the possible values from the computer to pick the winner. And then for the next one, like else if user choice is equal to paper, and then I compared that to the possibilities from the computer. And then for the last one, else if the user picked scissors.
So like rock, and then computers also rock, draw, computers this, computer wins, computers this, and repeat for
Yeah.
all 3.
Yep.
Okay.
So
That
yeah,
makes sense.
like if, so let's just do let's just put the user choices in first. So if user, oh, and one thing I did with this, because this gets, I tried typing this at first with the comparing 1s and 2s and 3s, and that got really confusing. So I actually set up some constants with rock, paper, scissors, so then we can compare the actual name instead of the,
Make the code easier to read too.
yeah. So I'm gonna do, so these are gonna be our global constants. And I'm gonna do, so constant int is equal to 1. Constant int paper equals 2. And constant int scissors equals 3. So now we can go down here into where we're determining who the winner is, and we can just say if user choice is equal to rock, so that's seeing if it's equal to 1, and then we'll have some comparisons in here to see who wins. Else if, and this should be user, should be U choice. So this is U choice is equal to paper, and this should be else if. Else if U choice is equal to scissors. And then we're going to have a else statement that just basically says something went wrong if we get to this else. Basically there's something is invalid with the program. So I'm just going to say something went wrong. So backslash n. And then let's do the backslash n here. Okay, so what do we need here? So the user picked rock, and so we need to compare this to the possibilities of the computer. So what do we want here?
You need another if statement.
Yeah. So the user picked rock if.
Or we could do a question statement. What is that thing called?
Oh, the conditional.
Those are fun, but that might be a little confusing.
Yeah, because we're going to have some long statements, because we're just going to print out like the user one or the computer one. So this one, well, we know if the computer picked rock, they're equal, so there's no winner. So I want to actually have that as the else, like the trailing else. So for this one, I just want to say if, whoops, yeah, computer choice is equal to, and then what are the options? So it could be rock. Let's just go down the list. So paper. So if the computer picks paper and the user picks rock, yeah, the computer wins because paper covers rock. All right, so backslash n. And then for our next one, so else if C choice is equal to scissors. And then what's this one? Yeah, you win.
Couldn't you avoid doing 3 draw statements by just having an if U choice equals C choice? Display draw before all of this?
Yeah, you could do that. But I mean, either one of all of these, once it finds one that's true, it's not going to do the others.
Yeah.
So it would have to go through, depending on what was picked, that.
I was just saying it'd save you typing, since you could write 1 conditional statement instead of 3 in order to find out if it's a draw.
So wait, say that again.
So before these if statements, if you had an if U choice equals C choice,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have to write a if draw for each set, since it's going to be a
Oh,
draw.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, we could do that. So like up here, could say,
Just saves you 2 times of repeating the same thing. If U choice equals C choice, display draw.
so if U choice, whoops, equals C choice.
Then make the if U choice equals rocks and else if. So it only goes good if that's not true.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So C out, and then this is just going to be, what should we put here? Pick the same thing. No winner.
Draw not a winner again.
Backslash n. And then this would be, so if,
And else if.
yeah, that should work.
Alright, so on to the next one. Wait,
Yeah.
we need a
Well, we don't have to have a trailing else. I was thinking about it, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of having this if statement up here because we're still typing something for it, right?
I'm talking about at the end of you win rock smashes. We need
Yeah.
a semicolon.
Oh, yeah. I've been forgetting those a lot lately. All right, so then this one is if C choice, and then we have paper, so let's do,
Be yours.
yeah, so this is, so U choice, so let's just go through them again.
So we just did rock.
So rock. So this would be C out, and then
You win.
you win.
Rock smashes.
Wait,
Wait. Paper.
yeah,
grabs,
paper.
Covers rock.
All right. And then else if C choice is equal to
Scissors.
scissors. See how this would be really confusing trying to use 1 and 2 and 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That would be very unfun.
Yeah. So then this one, so this one the computer wins. Oops. Okay, and then we can go to the last one. So we have, so this one, if C choice is equal to, and then this is going to be rock, C out, and then who wins this time?
Computer wins.
Computer wins.
Rock smashes.
Else if C choice is equal to paper, so you win, and then because scissors,
Scissors cut paper.
yeah, scissors cut paper.
Should we make the rock smashes scissors and rock smashes the same common for consistency reasons? Up at the top, second one, right there.
Yeah.
That one. That one.
Smashy scissors.
All right, let's see if this runs. Unless you see anything wrong.
This would be interesting.
Oh, whoops. This is a game. Okay, so let's just pick one. So we're picking rock. So now all of a sudden the computer picks one.
Of course.
But that looks like it's working so far. Let's pick 2 this time. Computer picked 3. So computer picked,
Scissors.
yeah, and we picked paper, so that's right. And 3.
Computer smashed us.
Yeah, it looks like it's working.